Your English is so good. I mean, every time people say it, they sound surprised. And what they're really saying is, I was expecting a lot worse. I was expecting to hear heavy accent, but when you speak, I hear none. So this is amazing. My expectation of you was different, and I expected a lot worse. So every time people tell you your English is good, it's so good, and they sound surprised, it doesn't make you feel better because you know that your English is good. You know that you're fluent. You know that you're brilliant. You lead international meetings all day, every day. You negotiate with men at CEO level every day. You make important decisions. You lead international teams. Maybe you have a child and you're raising this child in a foreign country where everybody speaks English. So you know your English is good. I want to address two things. Most native speakers don't know how to say it better. I mean, they are genuinely surprised that you have mastered a foreign language at this level, and they don't know how it lands for you, and they don't know how to show their appreciation and their genuine surprise and their excitement too. So they say the way they can say it. Because let's face it, most native speakers do not really have the experience of learning another foreign language. They never had to. So to them, that's a big achievement. So keep this in mind. They're not doing it because they want to intentionally make you feel bad again. They do not really know what's going on in your internal world and why this doesn't land for you. Second thing that we need to address is your internal world, because that's the thing that you want them to see. That's what you're trying to show when you speak in English. And that's what you feel you're failing to communicate. You're failing to communicate your internal world. Because every time people tell you, your English is so good, and they sound surprised, what they're really telling you is that they do not see you again. They see a foreigner who has learned a foreign language, to a certain level, but they do not see the real you. When you speak in a meeting, when you share your important ideas, when you speak up at a school meeting, when you share something vulnerable, because you want to make a friend, because you've lived in this country long enough to think to yourself, I should have more friends. I don't really have friends among native speakers, and I want to have more genuine connections. So when you share a story from your childhood, or you want to communicate, you want to tell everyone the epiphany you had this morning in the shower, or maybe you need to teach an important lesson to your child who came back home from an international school, and your child speaks better English than you do. That's when you feel unseen. That's when you feel like, yeah, I have good English, I'm fluent, but that's so not enough for the life that I'm trying to build. Because you are probably, I'm sure you are done. You're done performing good English. You want to be seen. You don't want to be evaluated. When you speak and when people compliment on the words you use, your accent, they're evaluating your accent, your words, your grammar. You don't really need to be evaluated. You want to be seen for who you are. And the tragedy, unfortunately, the tragedy and the thing I'm mad at in this industry is that people are encouraged to continue performing. Learn more words, learn these phrases, perform empathy, perform intimacy, say this to show appreciation. Like, we perform appreciation, empathy, intimacy, connections, because if you want to be seen for who you really are, you need to learn to be raw, real, and spontaneous. And most people are stuck at prepared speech. Spontaneous expression in English requires that you're ready to allow your internal world to actually participate in the conversation. For a lot of the people I work with, spontaneous speech in English feels like chaos. Like they need to be prepared. They need to make sure they know every next word that's coming. Otherwise, they're not saying it. They're terrified of coming across as someone who lacks structure, who doesn't know what to say, because that will mean they're not competent enough, or they will not know how to hold those moments of awkward silence. They're terrified of chaos, because spontaneous expression equals chaos to them. And your internal world, most of the time, feels like chaos because you do not have everything figured out. And still, you're required to talk about it. Spontaneous expression is also where your truth lives. If you care about the truth, you know why it's so difficult. The truth lives in your body and it wants to be expressed. It doesn't need to be polished. You do not really feel like you're sharing your truth when you have to record yourself 15 times before you hit send, and then instead of sending a voice message that carries your truth, you send a text instead because you do not like how you sound and you do not trust yourself enough to send something spontaneous. This is where your truth lives, and truth is so often it's so messy, and we have an impossible expectation of ourselves to deliver a structured, clean response when we're still in a situation that when we still do not have it figured out. And so you want to be spontaneous, but the pressure is so high and your capacity to tolerate it is so low that you just do not go there. You tell yourself that you're not ready, that you're not prepared, that you need to practice more. And you practice sending a 2-minute voice note for 2 hours. You record yourself over and over again, telling yourself that you're actually doing the work, but you're dissatisfied with all the attempts, with every iteration. You hate hearing your voice, because none of what you're hearing sounds like your truth. It sounds like you're trying to perform the truth. And here is an important message here. Spontaneous expression will always carry this chaos, the chaos of your internal world. And you need to become the first person who can hold it. And here is another truth. When people compliment your English, most of the time they compliment your prepared speech. Because when they hear you talk about the things you've talked about 1,000,000 times before, and let's face it, when you're in those conversations, when you make small talk, you're meeting new people who do not know you very well, you talk about simple things, right? Where you're from, what school you went to, how you got here, and you've said it 1,000,000 times before. Or they see you at work, where the context is very clear and you talk about work-related problems all day, every day. You're really capable and competent, and people notice it, and you know it too. But when they compliment prepared speech, you go, yeah, but I want to share more and I want to be more. As soon as you start talking about your weekend or your child or your plans for the future, or you start sharing something vulnerable, you're in the spontaneous speech terrain. And this terrain is so unknown for you because that's not something you talk about 1,000,000 times a day, that these moments are private and sacred and you save them for the people who care. And because you do not practice spontaneous expression, every time you're in it, you feel unsafe, you feel unprotected, and you feel unprepared. And these are not the moments when people compliment your English, let's be honest. These are the moments when you feel like when you feel like, oh my God, my English just left the building. I cannot say a simple sentence. And you go, how so? I cannot talk about my weekend, but I can solve $1,000,000 problems every day at work with the clients I haven't even met in person. But my weekend, or my child, or what my child is struggling with psychologically, this I can't talk about. You do not have this figured out, so it's still messy in here. It's still, you're experiencing it as internal chaos. And what's interesting is, of course, you do not practice this every day. So every time you're in it, you feel like you're unprepared and you do not know what to do. And your English feels awful in those moments. It feels like your English disappeared, vanished, like you forgot all the words. And you feel devastated. You feel very confused in those moments. Because we never practice being with chaos. What I just shared with you is what my typical client lives every day. People compliment her fluent English, but that's not what she wants. She wants to enter those vulnerable spaces, but when she does, and she goes spontaneous, and she wants to share something raw and real, she feels totally unseen. She feels completely incapable because she herself has very low tolerance for her internal chaos. You need to become the first person who cares to develop the ability to hold your chaos because it's not going anywhere. The chaos is going to stay, and our job is to learn to go with it and to move through it so we can finally express our truth. It's not going anywhere, and we need to learn to hold it as we speak.